So about the only good thing about Netflix movies is they don't cost me anything. Seriously, I freeload off my in-laws account. The Last Days of Crime in America is directed by Olivier Megaton and stars Edgar Ramirez, Anna Brewster, and Michael Pitt. Oh, and for those of you that are wondering, Olivier Megaton, why does that sound familiar? Yeah, he's the guy that directed Taken 2 and Taken 3. You see where this is going? Anyway, so The Last Days of Crime in America is a movie about where there is this program that's about to be put into effect, and it will basically shut down anyone's mental capacity to commit crime. So in other words, the government is taking control of people's free will. Yeah, so things have gotten pretty bad in America, apparently, at this point with this movie. So, but basically, there's a group full of people, and what they want to do is they want to kind of have one last hurrah, one last good crime before they're shut down from being able to do crime for good. So, the reason I decided to watch this movie was I read an article, and it was talking about how this movie so far was pulling 0% for Rotten Tomatoes. And the last time I checked, which was like 5 minutes ago, I'm not wearing a watch, but like 5 minutes ago, was still at 0%. And the user score was pretty low too. It was only like 25%. So this movie is not being really addressed well by critics or audiences. But I thought, you know what, let me give it a shot, because the tomato meter sometimes, and most of the time actually, is a pretty good reference for how good a movie is. But sometimes it's not. I mean, remember when Dave Chappelle's comedy bit was pulling 0%? And it frankly wasn't deserving of that at all. So I decided to, give it the benefit of the doubt. I decided to go in, watch it open-minded. And it was so bad. It was so bad. Oh my gosh. Look, normally for my reviews, I do a good and a bad and an overall. I'm not going to do it with this movie because there's just, I have nothing nice to say about it, really. I took plenty of notes, and there was like no positives. I reviewed them, and I had pages of notes, and there was no positives in there. The only positive I can take away from this movie is I think it's an interesting premise executed horribly. And when I say interesting premise, first off, the idea that, okay, this would happen in America, ridiculous. I think that if you tried something kind of like a post-apocalyptic world, they're running things differently now. They're just trying to seize control of a very crazy situation, so they implement this plan. That could work. I mean, we've happened in movies in the past. Like you look at like the Hunger Games series, and it's, the Pan Am's been created, and they have a very crazy, weird set of rules that is how they govern the country of Pan Am. That works for scenarios like that. When you say, oh, this is going to happen in America someday, no one thinks that. No one in America thinks that at all. So the idea that the concept does not work for America, really any country I can think of, but if you have more of a fictional post-apocalyptic country in the future or something like that, okay, then it could actually work. And then, the idea that, hey, these criminals, they just want one last hurrah, big grab of cash, right before they're physically incapable of committing crime anymore. It's a good idea. It really is. It's kind of a Minority Report idea where it's like, oh, hey, there's this new way they're handling crime in the future, but are there ways around it? Are there gaps? Are there problems with this? Interesting idea. And I again, just executed absolutely horribly. And not just because it takes place in America, and obviously that just would be nonsense that anything like this could happen in America or any really free nation. So there's other problems though with it as well. I mean, the whole heist that's set up, it's not done well at all. There's, like with heist movies, there's always the build-up. There's, we're doing this to plan for this and that, and then you see it all come together at the end. This movie has none of that. There's like, okay, well, we just need you to handle that and you to handle that, and we're good. And then you have, hours and hours of absolute nonsense sprinkled in the middle there that just waste your time. I'll get to that. But yeah, this movie doesn't have that. So when you actually do see the heist unfold at the end, it's not all that satisfying. Even if it did have all the good prep work sprinkled in the middle of the movie, it still doesn't come across as very interesting. There's basically some person sitting in a room on a computer, and there's two other guys easily getting into this vault, like way too easily, actually. Anyway, but yeah, it's executed so badly. Everything in this movie there's a love story in this movie, and again, it's executed terribly. I mean, like when they actually like come to each other and like, oh my gosh, I love you. I was just sitting there going, whoa, you do? I've been watching you guys for 2 hours and I don't see it. That's the other problem with this movie. It's so freaking long. Okay, this movie's 2.5 hours long. I remember when I got to the hour and a half mark, and I'm like, I paused it. And I said, okay, so the end heist scene has to be coming up, right? I look at the time stamp. It is 1 hour and 30 minutes into this movie. I'm like, oh my gosh. I have to sit through an hour more of this crap? This movie is so boring. It dragged on so long. None of the characters get fleshed out. I even wrote in my notes. What did I write? Oh, yeah, the main character. I said, calling him one note might be too generous. He's more half note. I mean, he was so bad. There's nothing to his character. You don't get it. You don't really get what drives him. They do have kind of something that's like that does drive him, and it's like, oh, his brother committed suicide. This isn't a spoiler, by the way, because they talk about how his brother committed suicide within the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then 10 minutes after that, they say, oh, it wasn't really suicide. No, he was beaten up by the guards. And so the whole reason he's doing this heist is like revenge because he's going after the institutions that killed his brother. Yeah, that'll show him. It's like, that's not revenge. It'd be like, that'd be like, in John Wick. John Wick decides to go after the guy who kills his dog. Instead of going after him, they go after his mailman. He goes after his mailman or something like that. And it's stupid, It's like a very indirect form of revenge here. It was dumb. So, yeah, but his character, the character played by Edgar Ramirez, his character is just terrible. And none of the characters in this movie are great. Yeah, it's just, none of the characters are fleshed out. This movie just drags on. It takes a slightly interesting concept and does nothing interesting with it, and doesn't execute it all that well either. There's a for those of you that watch Death Wish, if you've seen that movie, and a lot of people complained about that movie, it's like, oh my gosh, this movie just keeps cutting back to these news clips of people talking about what's going on right now. If that bothered you in that movie, it's going to drive you crazy in this movie because they do it all the time. And they're very on the nose knocks at Donald Trump and stuff like that along the way. And it's like, oh gosh. It's like, guys, just make a movie. It's so, this movie just fails across the board. I have nothing nice to say about it. This movie gets an F. Just right there. This movie is not so bad it's good. It's not so bad it's funny. There was a movie I watched on Netflix recently that was Shark Night. And, oh my gosh. That movie was so bad, but it was hilarious. Like when people are getting killed by sharks, I wasn't like jumping. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that person's going to die. Oh, so tragic. I was laughing so much. But this movie's not that. This movie's just straight up bad. It's terrible. Easily the worst Netflix movies I've ever seen in my life. Don't bother watching this one if you've seen it on Netflix thinking that it might be good. This one, actually, when I went on Netflix, it was saying that it was number 6 for like movies on Netflix or whatever it is. And I'm like, number 6? Are you kidding me? This movie's trash. But I don't know how Netflix does stuff. I don't know if they kind of just put it up there even though it's not really true. I don't know how that works. But don't bother seeing The Last Days of Crime in America. It is garbage. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep yourself updated on future content. Not really sure what I'm doing next. I need to get away from these bad movies I've been watching on Netflix here, whether it's this or Shark Night. So I'm probably going to finally listen to my buddy Jeremy, and I'm probably going to watch I don't even remember what it's called. That one Ben Affleck movie. It's not The Way Back. Is it The Way Back? It's something. I'll remember. Its name will be right here. That's what I plan on reviewing next. But until then, we'll see you next time.